I'm Michelle Carre, and this is Your Delicious Life, where each week we take a look at life through a different perspective, and we either learn something new or we get reminded of something that we already knew. This week's episode is 3 steps to dealing with disappointing news. Now, some of you may know that I applied to be a speaker at a women's retreat in Nice, France, and I was actually shortlisted for it. But I found out this weekend that I was not selected to be one of the speakers at the retreat. And of course, that was disappointing. So after I went through the process of receiving this news and managing it, I kind of thought, you know what, there's 3 steps here that would really help someone else that might have received disappointing news themselves. So that's what I wanted to share with you today on this episode. The first step is to acknowledge your disappointment. When I got the news, I had to sit with it for a few minutes and just kind of allow myself to feel that disappointment. Of course, I had, done a couple of videos for it. I had, imagined going there and was trying to think how that would work with the family schedule and planning things. And you have to think in that way. So, of course, when I found out that I wasn't going to be going, it felt disappointing, and that's okay. It's okay to feel that disappointment and sit with that. But the trick is to not stay there too long. You want to move on to step 2 as quickly as possible. The second step is to reframe the story that you're telling yourself. So if a client doesn't sign up with you, or you don't get a project that you bid on, or that promotion that you applied for, it can be easy for negative self-talk to start to surface, and for us to say things like, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have enough experience, they didn't like me. And it can go on and on and on and be really destructive. But if you take responsibility for that narrative, you can shift it. And maybe you can look at it as, you know what, maybe I wasn't a right fit for them and they weren't a right fit for me. In fact, maybe the fact that I didn't get this is more of a blessing than a curse. Maybe not having this project will open up for me to take on a different project that I might have had to say no to if this other one had worked out. How you reframe these stories is so important because it can set us on the next path of feeling confident and like we can continue to move forward, or feeling really dejected and stuck in that negative cycle with ourselves. The third step is just as important though. Although reframing the story is important, we can't just stay in that place. We can't stay in a place of letting it be the universe's responsibility, or the right thing will come to me when it's meant to be. It just wasn't a right fit. If everything that we're telling ourselves is allowing it to be someone or something else's responsibility, we're not taking action. And step 3 is to take responsibility with your actions. So step 2 is responsibility for your story. Step 3 is responsibility for your actions. Now, after I had received this news, I was chatting to Matt about it, and he suggested that I reach out to Ash, who had organized the event, to see if she had any feedback for me. And I thought that was great advice. So I have reached out to her, and hopefully we'll connect in the next couple of days here. And I think it's a really good opportunity for me to get insight from her. If there's something about my video or the content that I was offering, or how I filled out my form, or whatever it was that can be improved upon, of course I'd like to know that because I want to do better the next time. And if she also says to me, you know what, we thought you were great, you're just not a fit for our group, well, that's just fine too. At least I know what the reasoning behind it was. Now, I get that it may not always be appropriate to reach out to the other person and ask for this input. So sometimes what we need to do is self-reflect and think back on the experience. How did the meetings go? How did the interview go? How were the email exchanges? Was I, quick about it? Was I on time with what I said I was going to do? Was it good quality product that I sent, or good quality information that I shared with them? And oftentimes, if you get honest with yourself and think back, you'll probably be able to pinpoint something where you could have done it a little bit better. Now, if you can't, that's okay too. Knowing that you've done your best is sometimes all we need to continue to take action. And that's what we want to do. We want to go through this process of receiving disappointing news and manage it so that when we come out the other end of it, we're ready to continue going forward. We don't want disappointing news to push us down. We want it to be the fuel that helps us continue to rise up. Disappointment is inevitable, but how we manage it is our choice. So whether it's in business or in your personal life, if you go through these 3 steps of 1, acknowledging your disappointment, 2, taking responsibility for the story that you're telling yourself about it, and 3, taking responsibility for the actions that you then take, you're going to set yourself up for that delicious life, for that life that allows you to be the person that you want to be and live the life that you want. If you don't follow those steps, you'll probably end up living someone else's life, feeling like nothing's ever working in your favor, and you might even get so down in the dumps that you don't even try moving forward. And you don't want to live your life knowing that you didn't even try. You want to get out there. You want to have disappointment because you've tried. You went into the ring and you fought. Even if you lost, you got into the ring. And that's what counts. So when you get disappointing news, think of these 3 steps and try to put them into your life so that you can make sure the path that you're taking leads you to the next great thing in your life. Thanks everyone for watching. Wishing you a delicious week as always, and we will see you next week for another episode. Take care, everyone.